pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is the Department of Social Services. Mike Pastor. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. I do have a couple of resolutions this morning. A resolution authorizing to apply and accept a grant application to the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee in the amount of $22,000 for the local grant, for $5,400 for the Child Passenger Safety Grant, and the $6,120 for the Police Traffic Services Grant. There's no local matches for any of these grants. The $22,000 is utilized to help offset the salary of an employee that we have that's operating a permanent fitting station in the county for anybody who wants to come in, have their car seat placed or inspected for damages and such. The $5,400 is to actually purchase seats that we can then give out for people that may need them. And the $6,100 is really for overtime at the Sheriff's Department to look at areas where we're having problems with traffic behavior, such as following too closely, aggressive driving behaviors, those types of things.
A motion endorsing these three grants. Mr. Monte, second. Mr. Questions or concerns involving these grants? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I do have a resolution of congratulations for Susan.
Question, gentlemen, first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With regard to that, Mike, do you, I know you advertise that car seat information. You provide it to all the towns so that I would want to have a website link to yours and so forth.
Yeah, I can do a better job at that. We really share the seats with the Sheriff's Department. Also, they do the safety seat checks. So if there's any towns that want to do that in their community, let us know and we'll set that up with the Sheriff's Department, and we do the fitting station. So yeah, I can do a better job at that.
I don't think it's commonly known unless somebody happens to just run into it. So I think that if we had, I'd like to have it on my website to say that program's available, and probably the other supervisors would too, because there may be somebody in their town that,
Absolutely.
my village, that would read that.
Yep, we'll get that out there. I appreciate it. Thank you. A resolution of congratulations to Susan Hathaway on her retirement from Department of Social Services. Sue was a 31-year employee of Essex County.
Motion to that effect. Mr. Monte. Second.
I had a resolution of congratulations to Linda Decker on her retirement. Linda was a 17-year employee of Social Services.
Mr. Lee, a motion, a second. Any other concerns today, Mike?
Yeah, I did provide my report. I do want to highlight a couple places. I won't bore you by going through it line item by line item. We did have the Office of Temporary Disabilities there all week. They were doing a claims review with our office. I know a lot of the board members were, potentially interested in an audit, and this is really probably the next best thing, and maybe even more beneficial in that they're there to help us, give us tips on how to maximize our revenue. And expecting that we'll have the findings of that within the next month or two, and when I get that, I'll share it with the board. So I did want to let you guys know that. One other thing I wanted to give you a quick heads up on is HEAP has opened their cooling component. A lot of people probably aren't aware that there is that with HEAP. It begins on May 1st, and it's meant to help individuals that have a verified medical condition receive an air conditioner or fan. I can get that information to the boards as well, so if you get any calls, let us know, and we'll be happy to help those individuals. They have to qualify for HEAP as well, like you traditionally would, with income eligibility and those types of things, but I think it's a good program that's probably underutilized and unknown. Youth Bureau, we have RTE training scheduled. I did give you guys the folder. It's important that we get those folks there from your towns that'll make sure you get your permit from the Department of Health. And each town must have at least 2. 3's preferable, but 2's a necessity. You can't operate without an RTE, and we offer the special CPR for the professional rescuer as part of that training, which is required by Department of Health in order to operate. So if you have any questions, comments, let me know. I did put the flyer with that. Hopefully you guys can get somebody there.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
How long is it good for that training?
CPR, again, it's one of those things that we keep dealing with. It's actually good for 2 years, according to the certifying agency. Unfortunately, Department of Health only allows it for 1 year and requires a refresher on an annual basis. It's been an ongoing problem. We've passed resolutions here in the past trying to get some legislative action to no avail. I really think that, American Red Cross is probably most certified in making that determination of how long CPR or first aid should be good for, but that's not the way it's shaken out. The Department of Health has put extra guidelines on your camps, essentially, is what's happening.
How about the other program, the RTE?
RTE is a first aid component. That's good for 3 years.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And we are having a meeting here tonight. I hope all you've got the notices. We've been sending them with the Department of Health and your day camps to work on your safety plans. We've been doing that now for a couple of years, and it's really helped in getting camps opened on time and not having those delays in permitting. So they'll be here. Any problems your camps have, they will go through that safety plan with them directly and get that worked out. So that meeting's usually well attended by each community, and I encourage attendance at that. It's probably the most beneficial meeting we have all year in terms of youth board. And that's all I've got, Turley.
Any other questions or concerns for Mike? Yes.
As far as the social services part of it, I did read the entire report, and I would certainly urge my colleagues to, because the amount of children with child protective services and foster care is quite troubling, really. So and when Sean and myself did the tour up there, they were tying a lot of it to drug use.
That's correct. I think the opioid epidemic has hit social services as well as many other departments, including public health, mental health, all those places, and we are witnessing increases in client interactions, and a lot of it is due to drug use, Mr. Preston. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Mental health, Steve Alley.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
So I have no resolutions this month. You do have a copy of my written report if there are any questions.
Any questions for Steve?
Okay. Thank you.
That was easy. Public health?
Good morning. I apologize that you don't have your report in your packet. I will send it to you hot off the press. We've changed some things around. We've had some extremely busy month. You just heard about increased opioid or heroin overdoses. And I'm really proud to say that Essex County Heroin Opiate Coalition, which myself and D.A. Sprague are co-chairs, and we also have Brooke Clark doing a fabulous job. So just to give you an update, Brooke Clark and Major Tibbetts spoke at NISPA, which is the New York State Public Health Association convention, which took place in Lake Placid. Last week, they were invited to do that. They were seen by every public health department across the state of New York. They were met with great accolades as to their performance and the things that we're doing here and to create awareness. And some of those things are on June 20th, we are reached out to Mariah Central School, and June 20th we are going to show Chasing the Dragon. It was showed in Peru, and we're going to do a panel discussion. That's also followed by June 21st, which we're going to two of the correction facilities. One is Federal Correction Facility and the other one is Adirondack. Very interesting approach. We're going to show Chasing the Dragon, not just to the people incarcerated, but also to the correction officers, and they're going to do a panel discussion completely different, focused on that group of folks, so when they get out, we would hope that they wouldn't go back to using drugs. Equally, we've reached out to every school district in Essex County. So far we have 5, but we have every intention that we're going to get every single one of them. And so very soon they'll have staff development training days, and the prevention team, along with Brooke Clark, along with stakeholders, are going to go to every school district, meet with the teachers, and do a staff development training on heroin and opioid awareness, as well as, more important to the task, is trickle it down to the students. We're asking that each one of them create or put in a curriculum specifically on opioid and heroin. I'd like to say that Elizabethtown and Scroon Lake already adopted that in this school year, but we're moving forward in that school year. So those are some of the things that ECHO is doing, and they'll be in your paper when I get it to you this afternoon. Also, I would like to point out, I'm going to give you all packets on Lyme disease. So there's a packet here, and I want you to give the top one to your correction code officer. It's specifically for them, and all the rules and regulations are handy, what to do and what to look for, kind of increase Lyme awareness. And the other packet is for you for awareness. When you get your packet today from me, you'll find a map in there showing Essex County extremely high prevalence of Lyme disease. And I also have a map of township by township within the county on where you stand. So I think you'll find that very useful. And again, we go out to the schools. We've been out to all the camps. We continue to increase awareness, and that's really the only thing we have, right? Check your body for ticks, wear light clothing, stay away from brush things. You can do some yard maintenance to prevent ticks from being in your yard. Check your pets and animals. It's really about universal kind of precautions and being aware. We'll flip to the the Certified Home Health Agency. I think I spoke to you last month about our telehealth initiative. We've taken 40 units with a tremendous grant. We had really great high hopes, and some places they're working really good, but they needed 4G to connect, so a lot of folks don't have 4G in their home. So we're having a little snafu there. We're having to work with folks to connect to their internet, and people are a little leery about that. We thought it would just connect to one another. Anyway, it's working in some homes, and we're working out those glitches. And next month I hope to show you a presentation on how well it works. So it's been I think it's really the answer moving forward. And overall, the Public Health Department has been extremely, extremely busy. The Certified Home Health Agency was at capacity last week, probably for the last 2 weeks. We are completely filled. We delayed referrals for a few days, but it ebbs and flows, as you know. So we will do that, and then we'll have a little lag in the summer. But right now, we're doing fabulous, and all of our staff are extremely busy. That's the end of my report.
Linda, I think that's great that you're doing the presentation in the schools on the Chasing the Dragon and so on, but I also strongly feel you need to get this out into the communities also for forums, for the population, employers, a lot of the people that, see these, so they can recognize the...
Absolutely. So the forum in Mariah is not in the school. It's being held at the school, but it is a community forum that's taking place after school. And it was specifically designed that way because it was felt that the community at large would be the most beneficial. And next year, as we move into the school years, which isn't that far away in September, we will target schools more specifically. So I absolutely agree with you, and we will do that through, we're going to do a public awareness campaign through, we have funding to do newspaper ads, maybe a public service announcement, those kind of things. And again, our partner group is really growing. I can't even begin to tell you how many. I would say on a weekly basis, 2 and 3 more members to, join our coalition. And these are players that have a lot of traction and help and support us in moving all these initiatives forward. I also would say we created a matrix that we used specifically in Essex County. I don't know if you remember the first time. 5 other counties have copied our matrix, and they're using it specifically for exactly for targeting how we set up our model to be, because honestly, we did a little differently than everybody else. We had a bunch of stakeholders come together, and we created this with everybody's voices and everybody in mind. So I think we're moving the dial. I know we are to some degree, Tom, but I'm always open for suggestions, and I always encourage you, if any one of you would please attend, we would love to have you there. I send it out, the notices when the next meeting is.
I commend you on this project. Just a thought came to my mind. How can we get people, because probably people that probably need it the most will not be showing up, some kind of requirement from social services, the law, somehow to get people to make them attend something like this.
I'm sorry, to make them what?
To attend.
Oh, to attend like an awareness building?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will work with social services. I am working with
Everything else,
social
the ones
services.
that most need it probably won't be attending.
Right. You'd be amazed. It touches everybody. I don't think there's probably anybody in this room that doesn't know somebody that it's affected. So if you saw it and you say one thing, you would change somebody's mind. So I really believe, at large, if more and more people see it, we'll wrap the other people in services. It's always that adage, you can bring a horse to water kind of thing. The other thing I would also mention in reference to what Mike Mascarinas was saying, Lutrana Salati has seen an increased uptick in the amount of screenings and of children she has to do. So DSS has a regulation if a child is brought there, regardless of whether they really, I shouldn't say that, there's somewhat of a thought that if a child has been in any one of these environments, they may be more susceptible to a developmental delay, which causes the early intervention team to do screenings. And we have had an increase in screenings. They're quite costly to the county, just to be fair. And they might be founded that these children have a disability, but it's an automatic, we must do it because of the situation they're in. Which is not terrible, because we have another way to link people to services and other programs. So, but I do say that you'll see our numbers of screenings go up, necessarily not children into our program, because it's mandated. I must screen those children. So we've been doing that.
Linda, I know Christy's working with you. Could that information, Christy, get to the local courts, and then the judges could make that part of a plea agreement or something that people that have had problems with this are required to attend?
Yeah. Dan, that's a great suggestion. All I can do is suggest it, but certainly the two of us together have extremely different points of view on this matter. So I'm always, pushing treatment, and Chrissy's working into the letter of law, obviously. Between us, we find common ground repeatedly. I think it's really, that's one of the unique things, because having the DA, she brought all the law enforcement and everybody with her, and it's been fabulous. We've really been able to change things really quite quickly. We're also working on LEAD, which is a diversion program in Essex County. Albany took 2 years just in the planning stage. We've been at this maybe less than 4 months, and we're probably where they were at 2 years' notice. It's only because we have the right players at the table, and the people that can make decisions can make them. So we'll roll that out as we move forward. Stay tuned for that. But that's a great suggestion. I'll work with them. on some potential mandated training for people.
Any other questions, Tom?
Yeah, I've been asked this question. If an individual is treated with Narcan,
Yeah?
what happens after that point with that individual?
It just,
They release, go home, is there follow-up, is there any intervention at that point?
So it depends who administered Narcan. So you know that we've been administering or training people to Narcan. It could be your mom, it could be your wife, it could be anybody.
On an ambulance call, or
On an ambulance
or at
call.
the hospital, or...
Now, there's protocol for that. They have to report it. And I'm going to tell you that there's been a huge increase on the amount of Narcan needed.
I understand that part, but what happens after?
They're held for observations, my understanding. You can't, so that's a temporary fix, and as soon as the Narcan wears off, the opioids, and especially if they're still in their bloodstream, could kick in, and they could still die 5 minutes later or an hour later. So they're observed. Is there treatment following for them? Is that what you're saying?
That's my question. After 24 hours, after they're released, whatever, where does it go from that point with that individual?
Yeah, so each place is different. Then I would also tell you that we could take this huge queue, only that I know of in this county for sure, in Elizabethtown Community Hospital, they have something called ESPERT, which is a brief intervention realignment to folks that have come in or answered or scored differently on a questionnaire. Those people, because we have an infrastructure in place, will be referred to St. Joe's. They'll be asked to go.
So there is follow-up after the initial...
They are offered it, right? Again, it's not mandated. So if you do that, just like anything else, I mean, I could equate this to Tobacco 21. Your free choices is America, and if you want to do that, you can. It's not, if they didn't break a law per se, they don't have possession of it or whatnot, there's all kinds of, people have some choice in the matter afterwards, how they want to proceed. So many want treatment, and then we can work with those folks to do it, but some don't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions for the...
I'm going to put all these packets in the back. They have your name on them, and they're designed for each town. Okay? Thank you. I'll drop them.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Office for the Aging, Chrissy Larkins.
Good morning. Everybody has our monthly report in front of you, so I'd just like to highlight a couple of things. You also have a poster reminding you of our second annual senior celebration, which will be held on May 31st at Champlain Valley Senior Community. It's from 10 to 2, and there's going to be lectures throughout the day. Social service and human service agencies have been invited to come and set up tables, so we would definitely welcome any of you to come. Also this Friday is the Medicare enrollment presentation at the Public Safety Building from 9:30 to 12:30. There are still some spots available if anybody's interested. Tomorrow, May is Older Americans Month, so every year there's a campaign that's put out there, and it's highlighted in my newsletter, so I won't bore you with that. But each year, NYSOFA, New York State Office for the Aging, wants to celebrate older New Yorkers, and they have a senior day. So each county chooses one or two seniors, older adults, basically to showcase their commitment to their community. So tomorrow, Alicia Hayes, who is an employee that I share with Transportation, is going to be heading to Albany with Richard Graver. He lives in Lewis, and he is one of our volunteer drivers, to basically honor Richard and all the other county nominees, basically. So they're showcased in a book. They meet the governor. They have a nice luncheon. They're given tours. So it's just a nice day out for Richard to, again, to honor his accomplishments and his commitment. Last year alone, just a little bit about Richard, is he logged over 4,400 miles in his own personal vehicle of bringing older adults to and from medical appointments, and he had almost 200 volunteer hours. So that brings up my next point is, you guys, I'm sure, are getting calls in your community that some older adult needs transport to a doctor's appointment or to treatment or to dialysis. We're getting them all day long every day. Right now, we only have 10 volunteers to fill this program. We utilize our RSVP volunteers, so we're strongly encouraging anybody that is interested in becoming a volunteer for that program to contact us or contact RSVP. Almost every day, if we don't have a ride filled, I'm forced to send out one of our staff. Last month, we didn't have transports for an individual to dialysis. The volunteer in that community was ill himself, so we had to send a staff person 3 days a week, or that person would not have gotten to dialysis. So definitely, please feel free to spread the word. And then I have 2 resolutions. The first is authorizing the appointment of Susie Dubé from Lewis to the Essex County Office for the Aging Advisory Council for the term of May 1st, 2017 to April 30th, 2020.
Motion endorsing this resolution by Mr. Gilliland, the second. Mr. Politi, questions or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And then my second resolution also pertains to the Advisory Council to basically accept the slate of officers that's recommended by the Nomination Committee, which is Elizabeth Bice as the chairperson, William Dolbach as the vice chairperson, and Lynn Edmonds as the secretary.
Resolution to that effect. Mr. Politi, second. Mr. Merridew, questions or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Any other questions for Chrissy today?
Just one quick one. If I as a volunteer, brought you to dialysis, can I leave until it's time to pick you up?
Yeah, there's sometimes, especially in the southern end of the county, if we have somebody going from Scroon Lake to Glens Falls, that's an all-day basically affair for them. Sometimes we have to basically tag team the trip, so we have to send 2 volunteers. A volunteer will bring them down and then come back, and then another one will go bring the individual. They're very flexible, especially with dialysis and those long appointments. And transportation does a fantastic job of basically carpooling, ride sharing. So if we have somebody in the Willsboro area that needs to go to Plattsburgh, and then maybe the next day we get another person and their appointments are somewhat in the same time area, we'll put them both in the same car to definitely make sure that everybody's getting to their doctor's appointments. Yep, and I will say that the volunteers are reimbursed for mileage from their home to the person, to the appointment, and then back. And they're also under RSVP, they're given a secondary insurance. So that way, obviously, their car insurance is their primary, but RSVP gives them that next step of coverage. I mean, it's an added perk for them to become a volunteer.
Other questions? Mr. Martin.
Christie, is it possible to, especially people going for dialysis to Glens Falls, to ride on a school bus? Like Screw Lake has a van-type bus goes from Poughkeepsie.
There have been times in the past, especially if they're on one of Nancy's routes, and particularly in the Mariah Westport area, they'll come in on an 8 a.m. bus and then go back on the noon bus. But the other thing that we're up against is how many slots our local dialysis center have. And then in Scroon Lake, we actually struggled with finding transportation for a gentleman, but we were able to link up with the Lions Club, thankfully. So any type of scenarios looked at by transportation to ensure that we're basically giving them the most efficient but appropriate ride. Because sometimes people just can't get on the bus for whatever reason, but that's all looked at, definitely.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Transportation, Nancy Dugal, there's no report. Any other concerns to come before the Human Services Committee? Yes, Mr. Gilliland.
I'd like to offer a resolution of congratulations to Kathleen Giancola of the town of Willsboro on reaching her 100th birthday on May 24th of this year. Second. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no other Mr. Boddy?
I just wanted to invite the Board of Supervisors on May 20th. We're honoring Inez Mulholland and Lewis Saturday at noon. We're unveiling a state historical marker, trip to the cemetery where she and a lot of her family are buried, as well as a display that we have set up in the town hall that we've been working with Aurora McCaffrey. We're inviting anyone interested in coming. Teresa Sayward's already committed to coming and delivering an address, as well as Betty Little. That's on May 20th at noon.
Your meeting where?
At the town hall.
Town hall, thank you.
Any other concerns? There being none, this committee is adjourned.